About 10 years ago, you would have paid $3,000 to $4,000 for a really good gaming laptop, and it would have only been able to play your favorite games at about maybe 30 FPS at the native resolution and maybe medium settings depending on the game. But in recent years, gaming laptops have evolved really, really rapidly, and they've become really, really efficient and really powerful. We're now seeing gaming laptops that can run games at ultra settings at native resolution without any issues. But also, we've seen cheap gaming laptops enter the market. So today, we're going to take a look at an Acer Aspire VX and see if it's a good idea to buy a used, cheap gaming laptop. So what I picked up for $775 used was an Acer Aspire VX5-591G. It's got an i7 7700 HQ CPU at 2.8 GHz, 16 GB of DDR4 RAM, Intel HD Graphics 630, and an NVIDIA GTX 1050. So this applies for both new and used laptops that are cheap. Obviously, because this is a gaming laptop, but it's really cheap, they had to cut corners. And as much as I think that proper gaming laptops are really, really poorly made, these are even more poorly made. And as you'll see here, I'm able to really, really bend the screen. There's a lot of damage to the laptop that just seems kind of ridiculous is the best word to put it. It just seems like nobody would have intentionally caused that kind of damage. It just happened from poorly placed plastics and stuff rubbing against each other. If you take a look at the screen, you'll see that there's scratch marks on it. That tends to be an issue with cheap laptops. The keys press against the screen and scratch it. There is also some discoloration on the bezel, and when you open and close the screen, take a really good close look. That shifting you're seeing on the keys is actually the plastic shell pushing upwards when I'm pushing up on the screen to open the lid. So really, really poorly made, and when you're buying a used laptop, you need to take into consideration these things. Some of them are preventable, like for the screen, you could put a screen protector on, but other things like bends and discoloration and that, it's just what happens with cheap laptops. They're not made very well. So now you know that when you're buying a used laptop, you're taking a bit of a gamble on pre-existing wear that is especially visible on cheaper laptops, because it's bound to happen basically, and you can't really prevent it. Let's talk about the screen, because the screen is really important on the laptop, right? Well, unfortunately, as a part of cost cutting, they cut corners on the screen. It is an IPS panel, and it's 1080p, but the colors are really, really washed out, very dingy. It has really bad viewing angles. It's not very bright at all, and it's just not very pleasant to look at. One thing that really surprised me was how good the speakers were on this laptop. They're actually pretty decent. I couldn't believe it. Take a listen. But other than cheap build quality and crappy screens, you're actually getting a pretty decent laptop. I haven't really talked about the keyboard or trackpad because I really don't like those in any laptop. To me, the opinion on those is kind of indifferent. But what about actual usage, real world usage? Well, I know you don't want to sit and watch me use virtual machines or browse the internet or watch YouTube. You want to see me play some games. So let's see how it can run some more modern games. if you aren't really concerned with some nice to haves on a laptop, being a nice screen, a good keyboard, a good trackpad, stuff like that, you're more concerned about raw power, then honestly these cheap gaming laptops are pretty decent. They're able to handle most games just fine. Obviously some games you won't be able to max out, but for the price that they are, they perform pretty well. The only thing is I'd be a little bit hesitant to buy used unless it's a really good deal, because if you buy new, you can kind of take some precautions to make it look new for longer, and you can maybe make it last a bit longer. Otherwise, if you can find it for super cheap, then yeah, buy used. But if you can't, if it's not a significant amount less than it is new, you might as well just buy new, and then that way you can keep it looking pretty for even longer. So should you go out and buy a used budget gaming laptop? I would have to say yes, but be careful, as I mentioned. These are really good laptops for playing games at medium-high settings, and they won't last too long, unfortunately. But if you only need a laptop for a little while, say like a couple years, then yeah, it's really good value. So I would recommend buying used as long as you know that it's fully functional and you know what's wrong with it and what's not wrong with it, and if it's a really good deal. If it's not a really good deal, it's only about $200 less than new, the price it is new, then I just say buy new.